What occurs when even a global icon like Idris Elba encounters racism in a setting intended for celebration? Last night, an exclusive Hollywood dinner turned into a showdown that left everyone in shock, and Idris seized the opportunity to ignite a meaningful dialogue. Stay with us as we explore the entire story and the subsequent impact it created. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to ensure you never miss stories that defy expectations and promote change. The evening was a display of extravagance. The Oscars afterparty was lively with numerous celebrities impeccably dressed. Idris Elba, recently lauded for his leading role in The Broken Crown, was the highlight of the event. The valet opened his car door, and Idris stepped out, his shiny shoes making a subtle yet confident entrance onto the red carpet. Flashing cameras brightened the night as paparazzi scrambled for the best shots, and fans beyond the barriers cheered his name, their enthusiasm cutting through the cool Los Angeles air. However, Idris remained calm, keeping his smile reserved and his interactions considerate. Fame had taught him that every move and gesture held significance. He acknowledged the crowd with a wave and entered the exclusive venue. Inside, the opulence was evident. Gold accents, velvet drapes, and a string quartet playing soft jazz gave the restaurant an air of timeless elegance. Yet beneath the surface, there was an underlying tension that Idris couldn't overlook, the subtle glances and lingering stares. It wasn't new, but it was always disheartening. He reflected on the many years it took to establish his value in an industry not originally designed for him. Tonight was meant to be different. Tonight was about celebration. Idris was with his closest friends, actors, producers, and a director he had worked with early in his career. Their laughter and camaraderie were infectious, filling the room with warmth as they settled into their seats. The waiter arrived, displaying a professional demeanor, but there was something in his stiff posture and the way his eyes nervously flickered when addressing Idris that hinted at unease. When it was time to order, Idris responded plainly, "I'll have the filet mignon, medium rare, with a side of asparagus." The waiter jotted it down but hesitated before asking, "And do you need the wine list, sir?" His tone held a slight condescension, as if assuming Idris might not be acquainted with fine wines. Idris offered a small, knowing smile and replied, "No, we'll take a bottle of Chateau Margaux 2005 for the table." The waiter's eyebrows raised in surprise, but he nodded and departed. Idris exchanged a look with his friend Marcus, who merely shrugged. As the evening progressed, the waiter's inattentiveness became noticeable, drinks were slow to arrive, and orders were delayed. Initially, Idris dismissed it as a busy night, but when the couple at the next table, who arrived well after them, received their entrees first, he couldn't ignore the pattern. Murmurs grew louder at a nearby table. Idris felt their disapproval even as he tried to concentrate on his friend's conversation. A man at the adjacent table leaned back, swirling his wine dramatically, and said to his companion with a voice full of scorn, "You know, these celebrities think they own the place. Money doesn't buy culture." Idris heard the comment but kept his eyes on his plate, while his friend Marcus wasn't so restrained. "You hear that?" Marcus muttered under his breath. "I hear it," Idris responded calmly. The man continued, his voice rising just enough to be heard, "It's not enough to have talent, you need to fit in, to belong, and some people just never will." This remark struck deeper than most Idris had encountered, as variations of it had persisted throughout his life, always implying he was an outsider regardless of his efforts or achievements. Idris gently placed his napkin on the table and rose, his imposing stature and authoritative presence silencing the room almost immediately. He approached the man's table, his expression calm yet determined. "Excuse me," Idris began, his voice steady but with a clear edge, "is there something you'd like to say to me directly?" The man looked up, his face showing a mix of surprise and discomfort. "I was just making an observation," he said, feigning innocence. "An observation," Idris repeated in a measured tone. "Funny, because it sounded more like an insult, but perhaps I misunderstood." The man shifted in his seat, his confidence waning under Idris's gaze. "Look, I didn't mean anything by it, just a bit of fun, you know," he said. Idris leaned forward slightly, lowering his voice but increasing its intensity. Fun at someone else's expense isn't fun, it's prejudice, and I've spent my entire life confronting it. So let me make something clear, I belong here just as much as you do, perhaps even more. As Idris sat back down, his thoughts wandered to his past, growing up in Hackney, London, in a working-class neighborhood with its own set of challenges. His parents, immigrants from Sierra Leone and Ghana, had instilled in him a relentless work ethic, but no amount of hard work could protect him from the sting of racism. He recalled auditioning for a prestigious British drama, where the casting director had told him, "You're good, but we're looking for someone the audience can connect with." He had left the room fuming, fully understanding their meaning. Years later, when he landed the role of Stringer Bell in The Wire, Idris thought he had finally broken through, but even then, he faced skepticism as critics questioned why a British actor was portraying an American gangster, as if his talent was secondary to his origins. Back at the restaurant, the tension remained, the waiter completely avoided their table, and it wasn't long before the manager appeared. The manager, a thin man with thinning hair, approached with an apologetic expression. "Mr. Elba," he began in a low voice, "I want to sincerely apologize for any discomfort caused tonight. I assure you this is not how we operate." Idris looked at him thoughtfully, his expression unreadable. "An apology is a start," he said finally, "but the real question is, what are you doing to ensure it doesn't happen again?" The manager's face flushed. "We'll review our policies, conduct additional training, anything to address this." Idris nodded but added, "This isn't just about me, it's about every person who walks through your doors and isn't given the respect they deserve." Later that evening, Idris sat in his hotel room, the city's lights illuminating the space. He opened his phone, scrolling through social media, his mind racing with thoughts. Finally, he decided to take action. He opened Twitter and posted, "Last night reminded me that no matter how far you've come, prejudice still finds a way to rear its head. But silence isn't the answer. Speak up, stand tall, and demand better for yourself and for those who can't. Dignity matters. Change starts here." The post went live and quickly gained traction. Fans, fellow actors, and everyday people shared their own stories of discrimination, creating a wave of solidarity. The restaurant, facing increasing public scrutiny, announced major changes. They partnered with organizations to implement diversity and inclusion training, pledging to create an environment where all guests felt welcome. Idris's story sparked wider discussions in the media about racism in elite circles. Talk shows, podcasts, and news outlets debated the incident, with many praising Idris for handling it with grace and determination. But for Idris, the true victory lay in the voices that emerged from the shadows, people who had felt unseen and unheard, now finding the courage to speak out. Months later, Idris stood on the set of his latest project, historical epic about the life of a black abolitionist who had fought against overwhelming odds. The role felt deeply personal, a reflection of his own journey. As the director called for action, Idris stepped into the frame, embodying a man who faced adversity with unwavering resolve. In that moment, he realized that his platform wasn't just a gift, it was a responsibility. The fight against racism was far from over, but Idris knew one thing for certain: as long as he had a voice, he would use it to challenge injustice and inspire change. And under the spotlight's glow, he stood unshaken.